Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to talk about the Mexican Grand Prix, which had Carlos Sainz dominating and yet another controversy involving Verstappen and Norris. In the first half featured an early safety car after the Sunoda-Albon crash, with both drivers retiring. The safety car stayed out for a few laps, and then we got the restart. Sainz reclaimed the lead he lost to Verstappen and took off. Sainz took off because the real fight was between Verstappen and Norris, who were going at it hard. They ended up going off track, causing a whole situation. In the end, Verstappen got a 20-second penalty, 10 seconds for each incident. It wasn't 20 seconds for just one, but 10 for each infraction. Naturally, debates started flying, right? I saw people on social media going back and forth. Was it deserved or not? Personally, I don't see much of a difference from last week's situation. Even the second move from Verstappen, where he forced Norris off, was similar to what we saw in the last race. But you all said there should be penalties, so here we are again, penalizing Max Verstappen, who, once again, was the inside driver. Once again, it's Verstappen on the inside. But then you have the apex discussion. If someone is going 200 km per hour, they need to know if they're 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters ahead or behind at the apex. It's all that nonsense that the FIA loves to put into the rulebook, which only ends up creating confusion. I know some of you in the comments will say it was deserved, that he should have been punished. Others will argue it wasn't, that it's just racing. The fact is, we had two similar incidents, both involved shoving the car off track. Even with Verstappen and Sainz in that first corner, right? Forcing him wide. Oh, but at the start it's allowed. So what's up with that rule where it's okay at the start but not later? In my view, a fair fight for position shouldn't be penalized. And I saw a fair fight for position there, even if you could argue that Verstappen was trying to bump Norris. I've said it here before, the only time I'd penalize a driver is if there's a deliberate crash. And it did look like Verstappen might have tried it because it would benefit him if Norris had to retire. Though, to be fair, Leclerc was also in the mix. But in the end, neither Leclerc nor Norris managed to make the most of their opportunity against Verstappen. Oh, and I owe you guys an update here. Before this Grand Prix, Piastri needed to close a gap of 21.4 points, basically 22 points per race weekend. Leclerc needed 15.8, so let's say 16 points per weekend. It's not looking likely anymore. And Norris needed to close 11.4 points but only managed to gain 10. So in the end, Verstappen came out ahead, unless he has a DNF or something. For me, there shouldn't have been a penalty in the last GP, and there shouldn't have been one now. Feel free to call me a Max fan, just like you did when you called me a Norris fan. To me, the sport is bigger than any driver, and as a fan of the sport, I want to see good racing. And we did get some good racing there. Verstappen took the 20 seconds and paid it when he went to the pits. He didn't have a great race. His pace, following the live timing, was bad compared to those ahead of him. I should also mention the battle between the two Mercedes. In the second half of the race, the Mercedes duel was fun to watch. Hamilton spent a long time trying to pass Russell, and it was entertaining. In the end, he managed to overtake, but it took some aggression, going wide, going inside, almost colliding. Finally, he made the move on the main straight with DRS. There was also the Leclerc versus Norris battle, where Leclerc made a mistake on the exit of the last corner, heading onto the main straight, allowing Norris to pass. I think Norris was going to get him anyway. He was closing in fast. It's like I always say, Leclerc is extremely quick, with huge potential, but he's inconsistent. And when I point this out, Leclerc fans get upset. But here's another Grand Prix showing that inconsistency. Leclerc had a performance like the one in the US, and where's the criticism? I keep saying, Leclerc is a fantastic driver, but he's inconsistent. And the proof is right here because Carlos Sainz outperformed him all weekend long. Carlos Sainz was perfect, flawless in Mexico. Just like Leclerc was in the last Grand Prix, Sainz was on fire this time. He won easily, aced qualifying, and managed his lead well in the race. Sainz did an outstanding job and seems really comfortable with the car over the last 2 or 3 races. He's genuinely driving well. We all know he's not as fast in pure speed as Leclerc, but Sainz is a solid driver. I still think Ferrari made a mistake letting him go, even if they are bringing in Lewis Hamilton. So, it was a race with some great moments of real racing. We had the Verstappen-Norris controversy, but overall some good, intense moments. Beyond that, it was a pretty mild race. You also had Lawson versus Perez, which was symbolic. Lawson overtaking Perez was a statement. Even if Perez's car was damaged, let's cut him some slack. He ended up last in his home race. It was a rough weekend, but let's give him a break. His car was damaged. Lawson, meanwhile, had a solid race until that incident with Colapinto. Colapinto also had a good race, gaining 4 positions from the start. Another solid performance from him. Overall, I'd say it was a good Mexican Grand Prix. I want to know your opinion down in the comments. What do you think about the Verstappen and Lando Norris controversy? And now, before end this video, I want to talk about Pirelli's strategy predictions for the Mexican Grand Prix were either a one-stop race, starting on mediums and switching to hards around laps 25 to 32, or also a one-stop race, but starting with hards and moving to mediums between laps 36 and 43, or starting on softs, with the window for a pit stop between laps 15 to 22 to go on a longer stint with hards. There was a 2-stop strategy as well, starting with softs and then putting on 2 sets of mediums. Now, we already know that a one-stop race tends to be a bit dull since drivers are saving tires a lot. If you look at the tire allocation before the race, Verstappen, for instance, had 2 new sets of mediums, while his rivals didn't. Perez, on the other hand, still had 2 new sets of softs to use. And pretty much everyone had a new set of hards, except for Aston Martin and Sauber. The rest had a fresh set of hards, hinting at a likely one-stop strategy using the hard tires. Mexico has a history of safety cars in every race. So there's always that thought, do you save a set of softs, like Piastri or Perez did, just in case? You hold on to them for a possible safety car, a red flag, or something unexpected. And here's the difference between the compounds you're seeing on your screen. The C5 is a bit quicker than the medium, but the gap from the medium to the C3, the hard tire, is pretty significant. That's why using the hard tire is a clear sign of a one-stop strategy. It's a slow tire, meaning you have to hold your ground on track for a longer period. In the past, the difference between the soft and the medium was bigger. So now you have this game where the medium has become the better tire. That's why, throughout the season, we've seen the medium being the better choice. That's been the case for a few years now. And that's basically what happened in the race. We saw a lot of drivers starting on the medium, most of the field, in fact, and going for a one-stop. That was a strategy for the race. And like I said, races tend not to be as exciting that way. But what did you think of this race? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you very much, take care and see you soon.